got a question for you. When you see a fat person, what runs through your head? Do you think you know all about that person? Do you think you know what that person eats, or how much they exercise, or how that person lives? Hi, my name is Jeanette DePatie, aka the Fat Chick, and I'm a plus-size certified fitness teacher who's helped hundreds of people of all ages, shapes, sizes, and abilities learn to love their bodies and love exercise again. Today on the Right Now show, we're going to talk about everything you think you know about fat people. First and foremost, let's talk about what you may safely assume when you look at a fat person. You may assume they are fat. You may assume they are a person. Well, that's it really. Everything else that you're hearing in your head, those are your preconceived notions and prejudices about fat people. Those generalizations about fat people may or may not apply to the fat person that you're looking at. Those generalizations may or may not apply to most fat people. Just because you heard something on TV or saw something on the internet, or even if it's something that everybody knows, it's not necessarily true. So I thought we might take just a minute to talk about 5 things that everybody thinks they know about fat people. 1, fat people are unhealthy. This idea is so ubiquitous that few people even bother to question it anymore. But you can't tell if a person is healthy by looking at them. At least 1/3 of fat people are considered metabolically healthy. That means besides BMI, all their other medical tests like blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, and all of that show that they're healthy. So chances are at least 1 in 3 that the fat person you are looking at is healthy. 2, fat people are going to die. This is absolutely true. Fat people are going to die. Everybody's going to die. The question is whether or not the person you're looking at will die younger because they are fat. Now, there's no way to know how long one particular person will spend on this earth. There's evidence that overweight people live longer than normal or ideal weight people, according to the BMI chart. And whether a person's chances, statistically speaking, are better or worse depends much more on what they do than how they look. Obese people who engage in healthy behavior live just as long as thin people who engage in healthy behavior. And obese people who engage in healthy behavior live longer than thin people who don't engage in healthy behavior. Generally speaking, people who engage in healthy behavior live longer than those who don't, regardless of whether or not they are fat or thin. 3, fat people don't exercise. This is based on the notion that if fat people would only get up off the couch and exercise, they would be thin. Except the research just doesn't bear this out. People of all weights engage in exercise. People of all weights choose not to engage in exercise. Many thin people don't exercise at all. Exercise is wonderful for many, many reasons. It makes you feel better. It makes you feel better about yourself. It helps protect you from disease. It helps you sleep better. It helps you manage stress. It helps give you a richer and fuller life. It gives you a better sex life. Exercise is awesome. But one thing exercise is not particularly good at is making fat people into thin people. Very few people who exercise lose a significant amount of weight and keep it off in the long run. Luckily, all those other benefits of exercise still apply, regardless of whether or not you lose a single pound. If you don't believe that fat people ever exercise, you should check out the amazing photos of the nearly 2,000 folks who are exercising with us on the forum that's created by Reagan Chastain and I. It's at fitfatties.com. 4, fat people don't eat well. Many people assume that fat people must eat large volumes of food or must eat only junk food. Many people assume that if fat people just went on a diet, they'd lose weight. Truthfully, many fat people can and have lost weight for a while by going on a diet. It works for a while. And then they gain all the weight back, usually a little more. This process of losing weight and gaining it and losing it and gaining it is called weight cycling. And many scientists now believe that this cycling process is very bad for your health. Simply put, diets do not work over the long haul. Let me say that again. Diets do not work in the long run. There's lots of evidence. And as to what that person in front of you is eating, some fat people eat poorly. Some thin people eat poorly. Some fat people eat an extremely healthy diet and eat very modest amounts of food, but they're still fat. Scientists are continually finding more and more reasons why people are fat. What a person eats and how much they exercise are only a few of those reasons. And you cannot tell what any particular person eats just by looking at them. 5. Fat people should be ashamed. There's a notion out there that treating fat people with contempt is like some kind of public service. That if we shame fat people, they will suddenly adopt healthy behaviors and suddenly become thin people. Except, and the research is very clear on this point, shaming people who are fat does not make them more likely to engage in healthy behavior, it does not make them healthier, and it does not make them thinner. In fact, the research shows that shaming fat people makes them less likely to engage in healthy behavior, more likely to engage in dangerous, unhealthy behaviors, and it causes stress, which further endangers their health. So if you think your shaming looks and your noises and your other obnoxious signals are your way of doing a favor to that fat person in front of you, I'd invite you to think again. So let's review. When you encounter a fat person, you may safely make 2 assumptions. 1, they're fat, which might be way less of a tragedy than you originally thought. 2, they are a person, which means, like you, they have a right to be treated with respect and dignity and human kindness and compassion. I want to encourage you to review your views and check your assumptions about fat people right now. There's links to lots of information, including some of the research that I used to come to all of these conclusions, in the box below. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any burning questions or something that you'd like me to cover in a future show, just put it in the comments box. And as always, if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe. So until next week,